We are moving along now. This is Mega Module 4, Knowing What You Want to Do. Here we are prepared to ask the question, what are you going to do with the time and money identified in Modules 2 and 3? And we are focused at Ready Entrepreneur on starting your business. So I'm guessing you did not say you're about to run off to Hawaii, because this Mega Module 4 is the plan. This is about understanding the actions you will take to open your business. We refer to this module as a mega module because we have a lot of information for you here, and you end up having a few things to do which are critical to your business moving forward. Back in the last module, Module 3, we set up the practices needed to find the money you want to start your business. So at this point, we are not talking about huge investments in structures or product manufacturing. We are talking about the initial funding you can do yourself to get your business moving. We covered what money is, where money comes from, where money goes, and how to keep track of your money to keep your money on track. So the next step is, what exactly are you going to do to create your business? As Aristotle would say, first, have definite, clear, practical idea, a goal, an objective. Second, have the necessary means to achieve your ends: wisdom, money, materials, methods. Third, adjust all your means to that end. So if you are following step by step through the Ready Entrepreneur modules, you are fueled up to start your business. You have identified the time you have available to work on your business, and you have found the money you need for your initial expenses. In this Module 4, we cover the foundation and the execution on this major practice for preparing your strategy, your research, and your plan. Now, let's set why we're doing this. When you identify the 30 minutes or 1 hour each day that you have to work on your business, this time would best be spent if you have a plan of the actual activities you are going to do to get your business from idea to open. Like when an athlete is working towards getting to the starting line at the Olympics, there must be a schedule of workouts and weightlifting, training, and other competitive events leading up to the big day. Entrepreneurs need a schedule too. In your case, you have to think through every activity required to set your business up as a functioning entity and make some estimates about the time you will need and the resources you need to support your plans. This is a zero-cost financial activity, yay! But it will save you so much time and money down the line if you take the time to correctly set up your activities list. So to begin, we will make one teeny tiny concession to the idea of writing a formal business plan at this point. But to be clear, we are not writing the business plan. But have your paper or your laptop or your phone or any other word recording device ready. Okay, ready? And you're going to write this. My business idea is, and fill in your business idea. My business value proposition is, and fill in your business value proposition. Now, don't worry, if you are not ready to fill in the words of the sentences, that's okay too. Just write the first part. My business idea is, my business value proposition is. Formulating these thoughts is the most you need to define for what you would normally be considered a formal business plan document at this point. We know you're not ready to flesh out your entire business plan because you've not thought through everything you need to do to get the business going, and you don't need to anyway. That's not what we're doing right now. Just keep this starter page handy though. As ideas come to mind, you can begin to fill them in. Knowing your business value proposition, why someone would want the product or service you're offering, will help you understand if you have a valid business idea. And as you think about the value proposition, you can consider how potential customers would come to learn about your business and why. And again, the reason you want all this in the back of your mind is because we're going to be going through strategy, research, and planning. So if you have your own idea, that's great. If you don't, we're going to have an example for you to follow along. Okay. You might be concerned that delaying the creation of a formal business plan will lead to other problems. For example, if there are regulatory limitations that may interfere with your idea, or upfront costs that may be prohibitive, or implementation logistics that are unattainable. But in fact, again, don't worry about these types of issues. Thinking through the business setup first gives you the opportunity to make adjustments after developing the complete picture of your functioning business. And again, this is a zero financial cost activity. This is the thought process of what you're actually setting up your business is going to look like. If you find out later about a potential obstacle, you can look within your plan to find a solution. If you start with a formal business plan and pay for market research and analysis and all those kind of formal documentation things, you may be expending time and money to lock yourself into a miscalculated vision of the scope and scale of the work that you actually need to start to launch your business. So let's just go right into this practice, a Ready Entrepreneur practice, and get started. In this module, we are back with our Ready Entrepreneur avatar, Ree, who was first introduced in Module 2. Now, because some of you are thinking about physical businesses and others are only going to work online, Ree is going to help you out and do both. Ree has a fantastic idea for a new kind of donut. It's one with no holes. There's an indent for your fingers, but no hole. In the past, Ree has produced this donut and given samples as gifts for family and friends, and everyone loves no-hole donuts. So now Ree is going to go to the next level and open both a physical world brick-and-mortar store and a digital world online order and delivery business for no-hole donuts. So again, this is for all of you that don't have the idea in your head right now. You don't know which business that you want to choose. You could follow Ree's example. So here's how Ree would write those opening statements we talked about a second ago. Ree would write something like, my business idea is a new type of donut store, and my business value proposition is my donuts are unique with indents, not holes, which people find fun as well as delicious. That's it. That's all. You do not have to write any more at this point. Just have that idea fleshed out in your mind. The only reason we are getting you to write those 2 lines is because the rest of the practices follow from knowing and understanding your business idea and value proposition. If you do not have an idea, follow Ree for the physical world or online donut shop, whatever, if you don't even know if you want to do physical or online, just follow both and understand how the practices work through the examples. As we move through the other steps in this module and other modules, you will see how your initial thoughts for opening a business may develop as you learn more about your market and the opportunity for your idea. Okay, moving on. Our next step is to think about strategy. So what is strategy? We're going back to Merriam-Webster, our favorite dictionary. I guess we won't, shouldn't say favorite, but our dictionary. Strategy is defined as a careful plan or method and the art of devising or employing plans. So what does that mean? Well, it's pretty straightforward. In other words, what do you want to do to actually set up the business for day one, and how do you want to do it? Your business idea and your value proposition, but what does the finished business look like? You are going to think about exactly what your perfect business looks like and how it would be functioning. And based on this image, what do you need to do to arrive at the starting line? This practice is about asking, if you know nothing about your potential business, for example, a donut store, what approach do you want to take to find out the details you need to understand before the business is launched? So let's talk about the art of devising or employing a plan. Ask yourself, how do you like to work? Are you a person who prefers to do business activities alone? So you prefer to work alone? Or do you prefer to work in groups? Maybe you like online courses, yay! Or maybe you just like to analyze and utilize the actions of competitors. You can imitate without stealing original ideas. Or maybe you have another approach, which I'd love to hear. Your answer to these questions helps define how you will work to complete your business setup activities. That's part of your strategy, making sure you operate in a way that allows you to succeed, which is, of course, the way you feel most comfortable. You also have to decide on an approach for finding out what your business will need before interacting with customers. So we will cover research in detail in video 2, But to start, ask how you like to find out or investigate the information you will need. Here are 4 ideas for investigating the details for establishing a new business. You can look at potential competitors. For the donut store, Ree could go to local donut shops, see how the operations functions. She could also send other people who work in maybe marketing or consumer products to compare how donut shops and to their industry work compared to their industries and then report back. You can do online industry search. I think this is where everybody would start. You can use the internet, find the information about setting up a physical store or launching a web-based business within your selected industry. If you have a professional or work background related to your business idea, brainstorm the various possibilities for your business requirements. If you've ever worked in any business, you could begin to think through the parameters of your business using information you learned while working for others. And you do not have to limit this step to the exact business where you previously worked. You can adapt any knowledge or experience you have to your business idea. As a consumer, you can compare the product or service in the marketplace to the one you are thinking about creating. Based on how you like to approach this type of activity, you might decide to use 1 or 2 of these investigative ideas to achieve your goals. The key is to understand your favorite approach so you can be consistent in your selection. And if the strategy does not work, you should also be prepared to adjust as you go along. Your strategy is the foundation for the detailed action item activity list you will put together in your plan, which we'll talk about in video 3 of this module. The detailed plan is your understanding of the particulars of your business requirements, the actual physical, digital, legal, and other requirements to begin to function with your customers. Then there's the specifics that you will make your business unique in the marketplace and a success. And then there's the detailed activities that will need to be completed by yourself or others you hire or supervise. All of that goes together in coming up with your plan. So before we move on, which will be into video 2 on research, let's set where we are, because this is mega module 4. So there's a lot here, a lot to think about. This is the very core of getting your business to the starting line. This module, module 4, knowing what you want to do to get your business from idea to open, is all about strategy, research, and planning you do to determine how to actually set up your business. And if you are doing this to identify the business setup activities, even if you do not plan to do the actual work yourself or have all the financial resources you may need, you go ahead and you get this done anyway. In this first video, we covered strategy. Strategy for ready entrepreneurs means both what do you want to do and, just as importantly, how do you want to do it. To get started, define at a minimum, my business idea is, and you fill in your business idea, my business value proposition is, and you fill in your business value proposition. So you have in your mind a formulation of the business you intend to create and its value to your potential customers. Your other major task is to literally think about what success looks like and the road you want to take to accomplish the activities you would need to have completed to achieve your vision. Whether your vision is to have a full restaurant on opening day, or see people in the streets wearing your designs, or have your website blow up with thousands of online visitors, or have advertisers, just clamoring to be on your site, your Ready Entrepreneur practice for strategy is to understand how you want to approach setting up your business before you begin getting into the details, and be prepared to adjust your strategy as the business requires. Your detailed activity plan for your business is built on the foundation of a committed strategy and related research. So in the next video, we will cover the research. And this is the research related to the activities you need to do to set up your business. You can determine the activities you typically need to do for your type of business by conducting informal, formal, or third-party research, which is what we're going to get into. We'll get all those details in video 2. This is module 4, video 2, and we are talking about the specific steps you need to take to plan the actual setup of your business. In other words, what are you going to do with all that time and money we identified in modules 2 and 3? So in the last video, we covered strategy, specifically knowing what you want to do and how you want to do it. And we asked you to write just a couple of lines of what could ultimately be the first page of a formal business plan. Namely, as a starting point, set out my business idea is, and put in your business idea, and my business value proposition is, and create in your mind the business value proposition, put that down, and have that vision in your mind of what your business ultimately looks like. So in this video, in number 2, we are going to cover research. What's the definition of research for ready entrepreneur purposes? Because we have our own. We are not talking about market research for the type of product or service you plan to launch. This is research on the activities you have to do to set up your business. So this is actually getting you to set up your business. We're going to look at the types of research, the informal, formal, and third party, and a couple of research tips. So let's get started. What is the definition of research for ready entrepreneur purposes? How do you know which activities are required to be completed so you can start your business? And by that, we mean really start, be open and ready for customers. If you have a general idea based on the reasons you developed the business idea in the first place, like your prior knowledge and experience, then you can begin with your already formulated overview. But if you have no idea where to begin on all the items you actually have to do to actually get this business up and running, you must launch into some research. And you can conduct formal or informal or third-party research based on your interest and how you like to approach things. So informal research is all about you and how you define your vision of the business. In general, based on your personal knowledge and experience, you will think through the various steps you need to do to get started. So this process requires common sense and a lot of your general thinking about why you decided to pursue your business idea in the first place. To pursue this practice, start imagining the successful vision of your business. Look at each aspect of your business: product creation, service delivery, technology, buildings, marketing, employees, and list out every activity you would have to do to reach your successful vision. Now, include all activities regardless of the cost or time or labor requirements. So at this point, you're naming everything that needs to be done, and we'll cover who is going to actually do all of that in the next module. So we support the informal approach for most ready entrepreneurs to get started because there are zero costs involved and you're in the best position to determine your initial business needs based on the vision you have for delivering your product or service to your potential customers. That said, there are pros and cons to this approach as there are to everything. So let's start with the pros. On the pro side, you're in complete control of the information. This is your information from your head, your experience, your knowledge, so you can just pull it all out of your mind. At zero cost, which we always enjoy, we like zero cost, but there's also a lot more flexibility here because you just add any updates or adjustments whenever you want. And again, there's no cost. So you're always maintaining all of this knowledge based on who you are and what you know. But the cons are that you might not have sufficient experience to think of all the activities you need to do for your type of business or industry. You could always get started and then hit a wall. Also, you have to do the work yourself. If that's the intention, that you're just going to be basing it on your own experience and knowledge, then you're doing all that work yourself to figure out everything you need for your business. And you may forget or never know some of the required actions related to your business or industry. So let's look at the other approaches. Formal business startup research usually means hiring a professional coach or expert or consultant or specialist of some kind to help you determine all the steps required for launch. So if you're going to take this route, make sure you thoroughly understand the terms of the contract with the person you're hiring. Professional help can be charged by the hour or it could be a fixed rate. The service may provide advice only, or it may, the service may include being engaged in hands-on tasks. Most professionals will want to work with you long-term, so you have to decide if that's the type of advice you would like, because you're also paying long-term. And you also have to think about whether you need ongoing support over some kind of paid-for time frame. So given those variables, let's consider the pros and cons of formal research. On the pro side, experience. A good specialist will have done this before, may already know the market, may already have set up templates for your type of business, and everything should be out of the box. And that's assuming you've got a good specialist, a good professional or consultant who knows what they're talking about. The other pro, of course, is time. Hiring someone else to work on activities always saves you time. But the cons are the cost. You have an additional budget item here that you would have to find out if you want to pay for that money for information you may be able to receive elsewhere. And then you have to think long term, or even the next day, any updates or adjustments to meet the changing marketplace or technology might have to be paid for again and again over time. And then there's commitment. A specialist is working probably for several businesses at once and may not be able to give your business the time and effort that you require, especially if you've set a launch timetable that you're trying to track to. So that's what you have to consider when you're thinking about formal research. Now, between doing the work yourself based on your knowledge and experience and hiring someone else to do it for you, you may be able to leverage free and inexpensive resources available to assist people for your type of business or industry, or for new entrepreneurs in your location. So that's the third-party research. For example, you can go online and type in a search for, how to start an X business and add your business idea to find free advice, or similar searches if you have a new idea or for a product or service. You can go to a similar or competitor business and ask the owner about the startup process, and be transparent about why you're asking without giving away your business idea. But if you can find somebody who'll tell you about how they got started, that would be great. You can talk to industry or trade associations in your industry to ask for startup guides, advice for newcomers in the industry information for the newest businesses. And of course, if you're comfortable sharing with your idea, you can ask the Ready Entrepreneur group for feedback through the comments section below, or in the private Facebook group. So what are the pros and the cons of third-party research? Well, first, the pros. There's a lot of free advice, hopefully from people who have done it before and know what they're talking about. And the advice may be proven in the marketplace, and you could get a lot of first-hand knowledge of the latest business or industry practices in action. So even if it's not your exact business, which we hope is not the exact business you wanted, but one that's very similar or in competitor marketplace, you might get the latest and greatest information directly from people. But some of the cons are the bad advice from unaccountable sources. That's not always reliable. And participants, they'll be pretty much self-selected, right? It's only going to be people who feel that they want to tell the story, and it might not even be the real or the complete story from potential competitors about how to get started. And then, of course, there's time. It takes time to schedule and interview individuals who may be helpful, but they also are busy entrepreneurs themselves. So considering all the parameters, whether you choose the informal or the formal or the third-party approach, the key to doing research on how to set up your business is to find enough information to create a comprehensive list of action items that you need to do to open your business. You'll be looking for reliable sources who provide actionable knowledge for every segment of your business setup requirements within your jurisdiction. And that's going to include legal regulations and industry regulations. If you find a source who tells you something you did not know before, you've likely stumbled on a great opportunity to find more information that you can use in your business. Your Ready Entrepreneur practice for business setup research is to investigate all of the activities you would need to do to open your business. Envision your successful business and all the elements you would need regardless of available resources, meaning the money and the people that eventually will all come together. So we've reached the point where you have decided how you want to approach your plan, and you've investigated many sources telling you what you need to do to start your business. In this video, we covered the definition of research for Ready Entrepreneur purposes, which is the research on how to set up your business, typical research strategies, informal, formal, and third party, and the keys to successful research. And just a reminder, your detailed plan comes from your committed strategy and related research. Now we are going to move on to the third video in this module, the plan. We will put together the strategy and the research to come up with the action items you need to launch your business. This is the exciting part now, because we're really going to figure out exactly what it would take to get your envisioned successful business off the ground. The purpose of an action plan is to avoid wasting time. So in the next video, we will cover how to avoid wasting time, using the confidence, time, and money practices to make your plan, identifying action items, setting up your calendar, and sticking to your plan. We'll see you in video 3. This is Module 4, Video 3, and we are talking about planning, knowing what you want to do. Now it's time to plan the steps you need to take to start your business. So last video, Module 4, Video 2, we talked about research and what research means for a ready entrepreneur. And this is the research you need to do to learn how to set up your business. For your business idea, your research on how to set up a business in your field can be informal, formal, or third party. All approaches are valid for different reasons. You pick the one that best suits you or use a little bit of all three. At this point, you may have also been able to complete the 2 lines you started writing in video 1 of this Module 4. Remember, the lines were, my business idea is, and you enter your business idea, and my business value proposition is, and you fill in your business value proposition. Now, if possible, you want to be solidifying the completion of those 2 lines because we are moving now into planning the specifics. But if you've not thought of your business idea, or you've got so many ideas in your head you can't pick one, that's fine. Stick with the examples we follow throughout the course to help you understand the concepts we are covering. And then when you've got your idea, you go back and fill it in. So this is all very exciting because now we're to the real core of the entire process. We're going to figure out exactly how you are going to bring your business from idea to open. In this video, we'll cover why you need a plan and your business vision. And we'll get into that plan. So a lot to cover. So let's dive right in. Why do you need a plan? Well, the number one reason is to avoid wasting time. And by not wasting time, we mean you have thought through the activities you need to do to launch your business. Now, of course, that's not every possibility because we know many things can happen and interfere, and you can think about the activities right now and then they could be something else in the future. That's all fine. Focus on the activities that come up right now that are valid in this time frame. Once you have created a plan of action items you need to do to set up your business, when you have a free hour or 2 that you found using the practices in the earlier video on time, you will already have a set list of activities in front of you, and you can go to work immediately without thinking about the next step to take. So you're not going to be sitting around going, wow, I've got a free hour and what should I do with it? Instead, you'll be implementing the line-by-line action items list that you have created. Now remember, in this module, we are talking about the plan to create your business, not a business plan. To be clear, a business plan is generally considered to be a formal document which you prepare to outline the details of your business, and you're usually preparing it for third parties, not even really for yourself. A business plan covers things like the business idea, which we've talked about, marketing, consumer opportunity, your management structure, revenue projections, financing requirements, all these details. But what's missing for you as an entrepreneur when you start this entire business creation process with a formal business plan, you are missing out on figuring out the actual setup of the business. You don't know what it would take to get the business up and running. And not knowing contributes to your fear and anxiety about whether or not you can actually do the work and how you're going to get it going and all that stuff. So which means that, a lot of people then just bail at that point. You're trying to formally define a market or a management structure of an enterprise right from the very beginning. And that just leaves you fumbling for information. In contrast, the plan for your business is your living list of action items that you must do to actually launch the business, to actually turn it into a functioning entity to be open for your customers. You want to be able to really understand how you're going to set up your business, and also this process will help you with any formal documentation you have to do for the admin stuff that we'll cover in Module 8. So the reason this is exciting is because this practice makes your business real, so you can understand the reality of making your idea work. When you create this plan now, you are going to go through thinking about every activity required to start your business, regardless of who is going to do the work or how much it would cost. So this gives you a clear picture, which you can then use to determine every other aspect of the business, including its formal structure and marketing plans. So we want to make the business of creating a business as real as possible, so you understand your commitment as the owner and entrepreneur running the business. In Module 5, we will cover who does the work. Right now, we have to focus on what is the work. You're going to begin the process of creating your action items activity list, which we call the ACT, A-C-T list for short, and we are going to help you through the process. Let's start with visualizing your business. In video 1, we talked about visualizing your business as a success, but what does your successful business look like? Is it that your restaurant is packed on opening day and the next available reservation is in like 6 months? Or is it a stranger in the street who's actually wearing your designs every time you step outside, you'll see somebody? Or is it a website that you've built that is tracking thousands of visitors a minute and advertisers are just want to be on your site? Think about what success looks like and then work backwards to determine the activities you would need to have completed to achieve your vision. Be realistic, be honest, and be detailed. And by that we mean you can't forget even the most basic things like you have to order toilet paper for the bathroom if you have a physical world business. Or you have to secure your domain name online if you want to have a website with your business name. By the way, if you've already got a great name, register that domain name now. So this plan practice is to figure out the steps you need to start the business. And again, this practice is not about the information you would put in the formal business plan document. This is about you and forming your capabilities as an entrepreneur. So here you are planning the actual establishment of the business. Okay, so here's an example. We're going back to our friend, our Ready Entrepreneur avatar, Ree. And don't worry too much about the details here. This is just an example of what it takes to create an ACT list. So for Ree's physical world brick and mortar store, at the minimum, a location needs to be identified. So the action items on the ACT list would look something like this. Location, and then it would be get the space. So you have to find availability in acceptable locations. So you need paperwork done, and you need to purchase, maybe you need purchase terms or a rental agreement. You have to design a floor plan with whatever legal requirements you need for fire regulations and access for disabled people. And then the space might need to be renovated or decorated. And I'm going to go through this really quickly. Design an interior look or set up the floor space. You get the idea. And I go through quickly because we're not too concerned about the actual details. It's just the idea we're getting to, right? The idea of creating your ACT list. So when you're doing this Ready Entrepreneur practice, it's just too vague to say, oh, I need a space for my business. You have to consider everything related to getting and maintaining the space. So remember in modules 2 and 3 when we talked about time and money, this is when those practices fall into place because you need time to think through all of these variables and maybe money to invest in some of the initial steps. Let's consider another example. We'll take a brief look here at Ree's Digital World Store. So for this business, an online space is required. And that means selecting a domain name and buying it, or maybe in some cases you can get it for free. You need a web hosting service, has to be determined because your website has to live somewhere in a server. The website needs to be designed, it has to be built. If you are taking money through credit card and online transactions, you need to build security around that. You might have to get your advertising and your marketing set up and so on for the site. So the space, the concept of needing a location and needing a space is this, it's the same thought process in the physical or digital world. You still have to figure out all the details. Now, we at Ready Entrepreneur, of course, we cannot provide every type of example for every type of business in every possible jurisdiction. So activities will vary widely depending on your research, which we covered in the last video. You could have a very, very long list of activities. You could have a business plan with hundreds of action items. It doesn't matter. You work through them all systematically, and as we'll talk about in the next module, in module 5, you will not do every single item yourself, we assume. But to help you get started in how to build your list and give you some ideas around some of the things to think about, we're going to give you Ree's examples. Now, we have Ree's physical and digital business ACT lists, which are available for download below this video. And remember, these examples are not your business's action item activity list, but you can swipe these lists to use as guidelines for your own business. And we emphasize the word guidelines. These lists do not include any legal or regulatory advice. You will see a note at the top that says check legal requirements in your jurisdiction. And when we get to it in Module 8, we'll repeat many times that you have to make sure you include all your legal and regulatory issues in your act list, everything that needs to be done in your jurisdiction for the type of business and industry that you're in. There's going to be no specific location requirements in our examples, of course. You might be in a place where the weather affects how businesses function. You have to think about that as you create your own act list. There's no specific business or industry applications where these procedures may govern how businesses are set up. And what that means is in certain businesses, the industry actually provides guidelines and best practices and so on, which may or may not be the law. So you have to look into that as well. So do not copy the steps verbatim. Your own business will differ based on the circumstances in your jurisdiction. Please use the list, swipe the list as a guideline. Don't copy them exactly. There's a story, and this is how you're going to remember not to copy. So this might be urban myth, but apparently there's an airport that was built in a tropical developing world country, and the locals copied exactly the specifications for an airport that had been built in a northern developed world country. And by exactly, that means that they actually ordered snow plows for the runway, even though in their country there has never been ever in history a recorded snowfall. Not even one snowflake has ever fallen. So the moral of the story is think through your own circumstances. And to keep reminding you about this, I'm going to call copying without thinking adding a snowplow. So avoid adding a snowplow to your list. The example lists are to help you think conceptually about the types of action items you have to do, but do the work that needs to be done for your own unique business. We're looking forward to finding out what all your own unique businesses are, and it just won't help if every single one is using the same act list. Okay. And by the way, just to clarify, why are we using Ree's examples? Because many entrepreneurs with similar lists have proprietary information specific to their businesses. So those would be difficult to share with information redacted or generalized. But with our avatar Ree, we can give you a more complete list based on real examples, aggregated information, including all possible activities we could think of that were previously captured. And of course, your business will have more or fewer steps depending on your specifics and your situation. So when you get the list, when you're looking at them and you're thinking about what to do for yourself, begin by creating the broad categories you see in the examples or that are applicable to your business. For most people, these major categories include things like location, as we mentioned before. Physical or online, where are you located? You still need to define it. You still need to get it set up. Product, service, or delivery. How is the product or service sold to customers? We assume that's what your businesses are. There's some kind of product or service delivery. So everybody has to think about that. Customer experience. How does the customer find you? It's not great to have a physical or digital storefront that nobody knows about. And then financials. How do you get paid? That's really critical. Be careful about using generalities. If you say, oh, my customer gets the product from my store, and you have that on your list, that's missing a lot of details, right? How do you get the product to the store? Are you manufacturing or buying it? If you're manufacturing, you have to map out the entire manufacturing process. If you're buying, you have to map out your purchase process. How many days from order to delivery, for example? How's the product displayed in the store? What's the price? Critical. What is the process for customers to pay? So you have to think about all of those items as you go through step by step. The amount of time you need to create your entire act list is once again based on your business and how you work. But be prepared to return again and again to the document to add or delete activities as your business emerges. Okay, that's the creation of the act list. You've created a plan for the vision of your business at the starting line, and you've created all the steps from that vision, going backwards, all the steps that it takes to get there. So let's remember why. In this video, we covered why you need a plan. It's to avoid wasting time. All that time that you found are going to be used to go through these action items and get them done. And it's not a business plan. Don't forget, it's a plan for launching your business. Visualizing your successful business and using the image to determine the activities you need to do your launch is how you're going to get through this Ready Entrepreneur practice. The plan is created from your strategy and your research, knowing what you want to do and how you want to do it. Okay, in the next video, more on planning. We will cover your planning mindset, breaking down the action items, because I like to break things down, managing a calendar of activities, and sticking to your plan. We'll see you in video 4. This is module 4, video 4. We are covering planning, knowing what you want to do. Now it's time to plan the steps you need to take to start your business. So in the last video, module 4, video 3, we covered why you need a plan and your business vision and creating your action item activity list, or ACT, A-C-T list, and that's ACT as in let's get it done. We continue now with more support for those actions. In this video, we'll cover your planning mindset, breaking down action items, managing a calendar of activities, and sticking to your plan. That's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. To plan effectively, you need to consider your mindset, which must be ready for anything. As we have worked through the Ready Entrepreneur modules, we have fueled your confidence and found your time and your money to get started. At this point, we hope you're saying, I'm confident, I'm fueled up. Time is no object. Money is no object. I can move forward. Now, some of you will be saying, money is an object. I do not have enough money for my business. But by using the money finding strategies we identified in module 3, hopefully you were able to find enough money to get started. And that's all you need at this point. That's more than you were doing yesterday. We want you to get started to help you build your confidence to keep going. So honestly ask yourself, how do you like to work? We like asking this question. Do you want to methodically list every activity you have to do and work through it, which we recommend? Would you prefer to have broad conceptual ideas and leave the details to others, which we do not recommend but accept as a starting point? Will you set deadlines for yourself, which is optional? Knowing how you like to work will help you to determine how you want to manage the activities ahead for your business. You're not going to be doing everything, but you have to define everything that needs to be done. As you sit down and dedicate time to your plan, the list of activities to do may become very long. Remember why you are doing this. The expected outcome of this practice is to have your complete list of business building activities. Meaning, if all the time and money fell into place tomorrow, you would be ready to go with a plan laid out in front of you for getting your business to the starting line. And that's what you want. To avoid miscalculating the time you need to do the work for launching your business, break down every activity into its actionable, functional parts. Okay? For example, as we mentioned previously, we discussed location. Everybody needs a location, both physical and digital businesses. You have to think beyond identifying the location to determine how you will use the space and what is required to be able to use the space effectively with customers. So you have to think about every dimension: interior, exterior, legal paperwork, administrative, marketing, and so on, before you can open your doors. And this practice includes the research you need to do to find third parties to assist you with any of the steps. If you leave your line items too vague, you could underestimate the work that is really needed, including the required software tools and physical space. So as you think through each of your activities, include every real step that comes to mind. Now, you will create your own ACT list of action item activities for starting your business. List every separate activity so you can accurately predict how much time to dedicate to that action. If you know you're going to have to research, interview, and select third parties to do specific work, you want to make sure you have accounted for all of these steps. So add time to any activity requiring specific research. For example, to find your website hosting provider, or to read and review information, including blogs and guides anything related to your business ideas. Also, to avoid over-researching, you can place deadlines on your research activities. Because once you go online and start down that research path, you might not be able to get off of it. You can break down the activities into the manageable steps based on the time practices you've already completed and we hope implemented. And then estimate the time required for each step. How much time do you need? And if you're not quite sure how long the activity will take to complete, you can make a best guess. Again, you can use the examples from our Avatar Ree's physical and digital store checklist to help you create your plan. But you create the plan in any format you prefer, digital, paper, whatever, except this time, we do not recommend you create the plan only in your head. Once you have listed every step, you may now want to set up a calendar of activities to keep track of your work. You can begin by deciding on an overall time frame for starting your business. Now, some people want to give themselves a specific date, such as within a year, forces a bit of a discipline, and others have no definite time, they just leave it wide open. You may also want to use the calendar simply to map out major milestones that you want to achieve as you go along. Set milestone goals for major activities such as determining the location for a physical world business, or setting up on your domain name, or registering your business. And set deadlines for activities you need to do to meet the time constraints you established in point number 1. So if you actually do go ahead and put a time constraint, then put the deadlines on for those activities that have to be completed. The deadlines would be based on the activities you need to complete to meet your own deadline. Got it? So they all go together. And also note any deadlines you have to meet for legal or administrative reasons, because those might be something that you can't control. Even if the calendar lists only one activity to do each week, that's progress. And that's all you want. You want to live your progress. And moving line items off your list gives you the feeling of accomplishment you need to keep going. And what do we do with that feeling of accomplishment? We build confidence. So once you complete this Ready Entrepreneur practice of having a plan to start your business, you will have before you a comprehensive list of every currently known activity you need to launch your business. Now, the list will change and evolve over time. You'll add and drop items, but the overall idea will be the same. You will know what you need to do to launch your business. Whether you stick to the plan or not, stick to the idea of launching your business. Your business idea may change, which will require new activities, or the expected activity may change if you decide on a new strategy. All of that's fine. That's all part of the process, and it should be changing and evolving and adapting as you go along. Editing the plan as expected, even dropping the plan completely can occur if you have decided on a new business and the listed activities are no longer relevant at all. So drop that plan and start a new one. And then sometimes you decide on no business at all. It is possible for a ready entrepreneur to decide the time is just not right and end the work being dedicated to setting up your business. So this would be your exit from your own planned launch. So how are you going to unwind the work you've already done? Activities related to your exit should also be in your plan, especially if you are working with third parties and receiving work estimates or hiring people to help you with setup activities. You should think through how you want to make sure everyone who you have working for you is informed that the business is not going forward. If you started something in connection to your business, make sure you remember to stop if you decide to postpone your plans. Now, as you can imagine, this is not a subject we will spend a lot of time discussing, but we do recognize that some people decide to postpone their dreams for another day, and this may be where you will make that decision. Always be honest with yourself about your situation. At Ready Entrepreneur, we are prepared to support you, but you have to do the work. The Ready Entrepreneur practice for planning is to create your act list and get a realistic idea of the actual activities you will have to do to ensure are completed for your business to get to the starting line. Create your list, focus on the details, use the list to estimate the resources, meaning time and money and people you need to get started. In the next module, we are going to decide the who. Who are those people who will actually get the work done that you have identified in your action list? Okay, you've done a lot in this mega module. After fueling your confidence, finding time and money in the earlier modules, now you have come up with a strategy for setting up your business and a plan outlining every activity that needs to be done. You have created a plan for the vision of your business at the starting line. And let's remember what was done. In this video, we covered your planning mindset, breaking down each activity, managing a calendar of activities, and sticking to your plan. The plan you created from your strategy and research. That's the one you're using now to move forward. In the next module, Module 5, Do, Buy, Delegate, we will cover how the work list you've created actually gets done. Will you do the actions yourself, hire someone, or supervise someone to complete the work? What do you do versus what you let others do? Weighing your passion for the work versus the value of your time, and determining when to do, to buy, or to delegate. See you in Module 5.